After 10 years of Rocket League, it's safe to say there's been no shortage of legendary moments. With such an exhilarating esport that truly compares to nothing else, it's really no wonder why so many goals could be considered for contention as some of the greatest of all time. But the real question is, which ones are the greatest? With your guys' help, the official answer to that question has finally been revealed. After over 1,000 votes and responses from the community itself, the list of the top 10 greatest Rocket League goals of all time is finally here. Firstly though, as you might have guessed, the inspiration for this video is Rocket League's upcoming 10th anniversary, so it's quite fitting that this video is sponsored by Epic Games. Thank you so much. If you haven't seen it yet, Rocket League just got one of the biggest updates in years for Season 19. As usual, you can expect new challenges and a new Rocket Pass. I really appreciate the throwback player anthems. If you're an OG, you'll definitely love those. There's also an Adidas FC Clash event going on, complete challenges to collect some special decals, banners, and more. And check out the Adidas Soccer Strike mode with some unique ball physics. I just hit this nice top corner shot while playing earlier, so feel free to applaud as needed. Also, clubs are finally getting revamped. You can now track the stats of your club as a whole, easily invite and scrim with members, and earn trophies and titles that are displayed at the start of every club match for the whole lobby to see. People have been asking for an update to clubs for a really long time, so it's great to see that finally getting some love. And you can't forget about the beautiful new arena. This is honestly one of my favorites, I think. It's a 10th anniversary version of DFH Stadium, with arena announcements from the Rocket League caster Shogun himself. The crazy thing is, this is all just part 1 of 3 for this new season. You can expect a ton more new content to be releasing within the next few months. They even made a mini roadmap for it if you want to pause here and check it out. It's a great time to hop on the game to celebrate 10 years of Rocket League in Season 19, so I hope to see you on there, and thanks again to Epic Games for sponsoring today's video. The incredible goals on this list will no doubt be ones that you're familiar with if you're a regular fan of this channel. So I think you'll find it interesting to see how they all stack up against each other in terms of greatness. But if you happen to be new to Rocket League history, you're certainly in for quite the treat. So without further ado, let's begin with goal number 10. To start things off, this goal here is actually the oldest one on this list. Despite it being scored 8 years ago, its impact on the scene is still felt today, even through all the years of the skill ceiling being raised.
Oh, what? No way! What? Are you kidding me? Look at this pinch from Kuxir.
The original Kuxir pinch. This goal became so famous in the community at the time that the mechanic was actually named after Kuxir himself. After all, this particular method for pinching to score wasn't really used at the time until Kuxir popularized it in 2017. But this clip was the first time he actually scored directly off of it in the RLCS. Soon after, the Kuxir pinch became a fundamental Rocket League mechanic for both longtime veterans as well as even many amateurs. As a bonus, well after he had already popularized it, over a year later, he managed to pull off another one, only this time at an RLCS LAN. As you can probably guess, the crowd absolutely loved it.
Oh, and a great pitch to
He did it! He did it!
The Kuxir pitch! The man is a legend!
It's a beautiful play, and you saw it in the bit before the match. It's the Kuxir pitch. 74 miles an hour. He pulls it off on the biggest stage.
But like I said, the original Kuxir pinch was literally 8 years ago. The next goal, however, is much more recent. In fact, number 9 is actually the most recent goal on this list. So let's move on and take a look. Well, this certainly looks familiar to me. I actually just made a video about this one a couple months ago, and here it is showing up at number 9 in the greatest Rocket League goals of all time. At the 2024 Rocket League World Championship, Oxygen Esports were matched up against Gentlemates in the first round of the playoffs. It was already a surprise that they had made it this far in the tournament. In fact, they actually weren't even supposed to be at this event in the first place, but they were given the invite to it last minute due to some complications with other qualifying teams. Nonetheless, they were here now and outperforming any expectations that were on them previously.
But there's no follow-up, there's no secondary play.
After 6 minutes straight of withstanding relentless pressure from Gentlemates in Game 5, Archie pulled off what is very likely the greatest pass of all time. After an insane pre-flip to beat Juicy in front of his net, Archie quickly recovered to continue the counterattack, but was instantly knocked into the air by a Gentlemate's defender. However, rather than calling it quits and trying to rotate out of the play, he holds power slide, landing completely sideways, and recovers to make a perfectly deceptive pass to his teammate at the midfield. The beauty of this clip is that Oxygen used the momentum from this incredible goal to close out the series and complete the upset against Gentlemates, which almost no one expected them to do going into it.
Archie does get bumped going back midfield.
Since I already have an entire video dedicated to this play already, I decided not to go too deep into the details here, but they really are amazing. So if you want to check out the full story behind this one, I definitely recommend it. That video is linked below. But for now, let's move on to goal number 8, to a moment where freestyling and the RLCS collide. For those of you who watched my movie about Joyo I released earlier this month, this should definitely look familiar. The backstory of Joyo and Moist Esports' run to get here in the first place is so extraordinary. There's a reason I spent 2 years making an entire movie about it. But to cap off that incredible run, Joyo went on to score something in the final game that simply blew our minds.
Falcons have to do the impossible.
With his full boost tank from a complete standstill, Joyo carries the ball above TRK all the way up to the ceiling. Here, he lands on the roof to reset his flip, jumps off, and before you know it, he's already completely out of boost and there's still 2 defenders in his way. This should be a huge problem, but Joyo, with some of the most creative mechanics on the planet, somehow manages to make it work anyway. To score something like this in the RLCS is one thing, but to do it in the grand finals of a major is just unbelievable.
Split. Your backs are against the wall if your team Falcons. Meanwhile, Moist Esports, this is the culmination of all the work they put in.
There's only a few players in the world who would even attempt something like this in pro play. It really is such a unique kind of goal that we may never see again. But things only get crazier from here. So let's continue moving down the list. Now onto number 7. This right here is probably the most legacy-defining goal Rocket League will ever see. It's not often that literally no matter what happens next in a game, it's already being written into the history books forever. But in the grand final of RLCS Season 8, the stakes were so unbelievably high for both sides, a defining moment was inevitable. The accolades held by all the players on the pitch here made it easily the most stacked grand final RLCS has ever seen.
Against Renault Vitality. Both teams have had their moments.
Truthfully, there's so many different ways to frame the importance of this series. It's about K-Dot versus Turbo, who will be crowned the greatest of all time, becoming the first 4-time world champion. Or no, it's actually about Garrett G and Justin. Can they complete the redemption arc after coming up just short 2 years ago? Or no, it's actually about Scrubkilla and Fairy Peak. Only 3 players in history have ever been able to win multiple world championship titles. Can they be the next to add their names to that short list? You really could put it any of these ways. Needless to say, there was a lot on the line here. So when the series ultimately reached overtime in Game 7, putting the weight of all of it onto a single goal, to be honest, it was destined to make this list from the start.
Garrett, can he have a different result this time? Great play to this corner. Fairy Peak. He's got past 2 players. Looks for a bump. Garrett G clears line. Justin!
In the end, NRG would come out on top with a beautiful redirect from Justin, making this one of the most legacy-defining moments to this day. But now let's move on to a different kind of greatness. A goal that made this list simply because it makes you say, wow. Well, it was only a matter of time before one of these goals showed up on this list. The entire year of 2023 Rocket League was dominated by one single player. If you don't already know his name, you better get used to hearing it.
3LC Zen off his line, Zen jumps up and doubles it off his own backboard with a huge redirect.
But Zen has some defending to do. Seiko's not going to let
Oh
him do it.
my word!
Midfield touches Zen though with a double. Zen off the ceiling!
Zen's RLCS debut was by far the best we've ever seen and probably will ever see. And in only his second event, he pulled off something that perfectly displays just how different he is. After jumping up and getting beat to the side by Itachi, Zen somehow perfectly predicts the future 4 seconds in advance. Most players would just immediately boost downward to recover and rotate out as quickly as possible. But seeing that the ball is bouncing off the sidewall and likely going to be a perfect setup for his teammate Alpha, Zen opts to continue boosting forward, making himself available for the mid-air pass.
Archie just trying to keep this one in play, but Tira's not there.
No, he's still up. Zen's still up. Oh my goodness, Zen! How does he do it?
Doesn't hit it, and then look at that. He keeps going forward.
Oh my
And he knows the dude's gonna go for it.
gosh!
Look!
Marquee player. Let's see a marquee play.
It's a play that no one else in the world could have imagined pulling off at the time, but Zen did it as a complete rookie. That is absolutely amazing. But before we get into the top 5, let's go over a few honorable mentions that just barely didn't make the list. First off, we have this insane redirect from Alot.
Demos are going to suit this Mucket squad down to the ground, although Alot puts that one straight up. That is the angle of the century!
Shogun called it the angle of the century at the time, and to be honest, even 8 years later, I think that still holds up. For another honorable mention though, we have the go-ahead goal from Yan in their upset versus Moist at the World Championship.
Moist did not let this drop earlier on. Now they're up against it.
This one may have not been as impressive mechanically, but the history behind it is fascinating. At the start of the season, no one really took Furia or the South American region as a whole that seriously. But by the end of the season, they eliminated the #1 seed in one of the biggest upsets we've ever seen. And for our last honorable mention, we have Garrett G's bump to ceiling recovery.
The mid boost is why that's going to slow down Team Dignitas, who are now on the defensive. Still 0 goals. Oh my goodness!
This is one of those goals that you really can't teach. That's just pure talent right there. A goal that would still be in some of the best highlight reels even if it was scored today. All right, we've officially reached the top 5. This is the point where the community starts to be in a lot more agreement for what belongs here. According to all the votes you guys submitted that ultimately created this list, you could swap around the order of most of these goals pretty easily, and it would still be a solid top 10. But as we get closer to #1, each goal becomes more and more separated above the previous. So with that being said, let's keep going and move on to number 5. Here we are in the grand final of the 2023 World Championship. As I already said, you better get used to hearing this guy's name, because to cap off the season, Zen scored yet another legendary goal. You see, as Zen was making himself known, even before his official debut, he started to become known for a specific kind of mechanic that no one else in pro play was doing.
Oh, that's great from Zen. That's actually ridiculous.
A ceiling pinch double tap. It really goes to show you how much he raised the bar for the pro scene. Ceiling pinches were already extremely rare in pro play, so for Zen to take something like that and make it even better and be doing it consistently, it really is a beautiful thing.
Will this be the dream ending for Vitality? Can be.
After scoring multiple of them in a matter of months leading up to Worlds, completely styling on the best teams in Europe, he finally pulled one off for the whole world to see. It's no wonder why everyone lost their minds.
The man, the magician, the superstar, it's the signature god!
To score something like this in front of the largest audience there is in your very first season is just about the biggest statement you can make. 2023 belongs to Zen, and that's abundantly clear. But now let's turn back the clock to a different era of the game's history, here at goal number 4. If you're going to talk about Rocket League goals that truly had an impact, you're no doubt going to be talking about this one from 2017. At the Season 4 World Championship, a new mechanic that had yet to see the spotlight of RLCS was finally scored by one of the most legendary players in the scene. You see, while ceiling shots were definitely a known thing among professional players at the time, up to this moment, no one had scored one in RLCS, even if you count online matches. Fans and analysts knew that it was just a matter of time before we saw the first one, but they never would have expected it to come out in the glorious fashion that it did. As the kickoff falls into the hands of Squishy, he takes it up to the ceiling, immediately trying to set one up. Unfortunately, there's 2 professional defenders still in his way, which is usually more than enough to shut this play down. But in case you forgot, this goal was voted to be the 4th greatest of all time, which means this isn't just a normal ceiling shot. As one defender jumps off to challenge early, Squishy turns his car over for a fake. The first defender goes flying, completely past the play, stunned as to what just happened, as Squishy fluidly continues his motion for the final shot.
Unable to take it to Squishy now. He puts it through. He's been going for this stuff.
This goal immediately went viral, not just within the Rocket League community, but throughout gaming as a whole.
Guy goes up to the top of the ceiling and drags, somehow, I don't know how this was possible, carries it over into the net. That was insane. I could never do that.
It was even recognized on ESPN. OG Rocket League fans look back to this moment as the goal that finally put Rocket League on the map as one of the greatest esports out there. Top 3 goals of all time. At this point, I offer you to try and guess which ones you think are left here. So let's go ahead and jump in to number 3. How do you define greatness? Is it about the clutch factor, the story leading up to it? Is it the display of mechanical skill? Everyone seems to have their own opinion, but this next goal, without a doubt, checks all the boxes. For the 3rd time now, Zen has claimed another spot on this list. What's crazy is all 3 of his goals here are within a 3-month time span. No one was ready for this guy to enter the scene. And in fact, this goal was just hours before his signature shot from number 5. Only there's a reason this one here was the best of them all.
While that vitality, have to take more risks on the offensive side. It looked like they
In a clutch situation, Game 6 of the World Championship semifinals, Vitality were in need of something special to close out the series before Game 7.
But now they gotta start sending a couple of more players forward.
The defense of Karmine Corp was already one of the best out there and undoubtedly in great form here in the semis. But just when it looked like K-Corp had Vitality under control, Zen scored something so impossible, it made the entire arena erupt. And it was followed by what would become one of the most memorable lines in Rocket League esports.
And it bounces up for Alpha. He's got another touch. Alpha puts Hero red and right wing. Here's Zen up high. Takes it up. Zen across. Oh! Call him Mr. Physics. He bends reality to his will. Takes it up. Zen across. What?
That's fine.
Takes it up.
Should be fine. Never mind.
This impossible go-ahead goal from Zen led to Vitality closing out the series and eventually winning the entire World Championship, as you saw earlier. And it remains today as one of the most anticipated, but still unexpected goals to ever happen, if that can even be possible. But if you thought that goal was impressive, just wait until you see number 2, which people have called the most mechanical professional goal ever scored. For a goal to make it this deep into the list and not even be scored at a LAN, it really speaks to how incredible it actually is.
And Beast Mode dancing against first killer off the ceiling.
In overtime Game 2 of a North American regional, Daniel pulls out a goal from a situation that never should have been remotely dangerous in the first place. After attempting to control an absolute laser shot headed straight at him, his car naturally pivots around backwards from the recoil. From here, he somehow barely dodges Jack's bump by a margin of pixels, turns around, and pre-flips toward the ball to try and keep the play going. In this position, from a defender's perspective, it's entirely reasonable to assume that worst case scenario, Daniel might get one touch here to the corner, which isn't even threatening. But unfortunately for First Killer, he completely misjudges that worst case scenario. Instead, by some extraordinary feat, Daniel regains full control of the ball, air dribbling it completely over First Killer without even being bumped by the challenge. And now, as the last line of defense, Chronic, who just witnessed this entire thing play out, understandably hesitates at the worst moment. His instincts tell him to doubt Daniel's ability to continue the play after already doing so much, which of course leaves the perfect opening for Daniel to surprise the defense again.
But now Jack gets it out, and Daniel flipping the play on its head, dribbling above First Killer, Chronic in the net, so was Jack. The block! Daniel! He's a hero!
What a special play from Daniel! He half flips into an air dribble into a flip reset!
And then Daniel might have scored the best RLCS goal I have ever seen.
I need to see that play 10 times in a row from 3 different angles.
Talk about proving the doubters wrong. In this case, the doubters were the professional defenders, doubting Daniel's ability to do something impossible. Truthfully, it's hard to blame them on this one. And if you ask me, that's what made this goal so special. We have finally arrived. Needless to say, the #1 greatest Rocket League goal of all time needs no introduction. But for those that may be new to this unforgettable moment, I will give a brief one anyway. This is Justin, a name you all are probably familiar with by now. But at this moment, he was actually considered the new kid on the block. A young mechanical prodigy, just 15 years old, that was supposed to take NRG to the top. Throughout his first season, he had already met expectations and even surpassed many of them to reach this point. NRG was now in the grand final of the World Championship, facing off against the most renowned players in European history at the time. When Turbo scores this go-ahead goal in the final moments, the game has essentially been won. What led up to these final seconds was already what people would consider to be the best grand final Rocket League had ever seen at the time. Highlight reel plays left and right. It was truly a spectacle to watch. In fact, one of the goals from earlier in the series was already mentioned in this very video. So when all this high action came to a close with Dignitas scoring in the final seconds, it seemed like we had finally witnessed the true finale of the season.
All season long, it's out support from Turbo.
That was until the final 4 seconds actually played out. Remember to keep in mind, in Rocket League, the game doesn't end until the ball touches the ground.
And Archie need this immediately. They've got to keep them in their favor. Tries to clear, it is almost there, it just has hit the floor, but a Panther puts it a long way, and it's almost there. Justin keeps it alive, Turbo wasn't there, bounces into the corner, NRG still around, Justin is there for the shot, Justin! This is Rocket League! They did it!
This has been the top 10 greatest Rocket League goals of all time. Thank you to my YouTube members for the support, and thanks to all of you for watching.